Did you get all your painting done?
Now, if you check the activity out on the other side of the runway, you'll see a number of cars and trucks that are working over in that area. That is for the surprise that you're going to see later on today from the group called Tora, Tora, Tora. I promised you some very interesting visual and sound effects, and you're just going to be as amazed as we are every week at this dedicated group of flyers flying these movie star air. Once again, we are celebrating with the Eagles these three young men, their 20th anniversary or 20th year in the air show business as a three-man team, starting out as the Thrillos. Many of you remember them throughout the 70s as the Red Devils, and now with the Eagle Aerobatic Planes from Afton, Wyoming, they are the Eagle Aerobatic Team. All eyes low and to the left as Charlie has got the throttle full forward. The speed picks up to about 60 to 70 to 80, 90. He holds it down on the ground. Watch for the smoke to come on. He holds the team in formation. Keep your eyes and your camera on the Eagles. Right about in here at Air Show Center. Charlie calls for the snap roll. Blow is right. How about a big round of applause for the Eagles? That'll get your heart beating. Okay, now the Eagles very quickly are going to go up and join with the F-27, the jump platform of the Golden Knight. So all eyes overhead.
Right there. Right up there.
All right. Well, what's that?
He's back to the barnstormers
He's not
on
paying
the
attention.
20s, 30s, and 40s. Now, in free fall is Sergeant Chuck Roberts. There's the red smoke grenade we talked about. 120 miles per hour, streaking down over the top of the target area, which means very little wind aloft today. So this is very unusual for the jumper to be almost directly over the top of the target. That means when they watched the streamers, there was very little movement of air at the upper altitudes. You can see Sergeant Chuck Roberts now tracking away. Charlie Hiller calls for the team split. He sets up. Behind him is Gene Soucy, and behind him is Tom Oberesny. They are the Eagle Aerobatic team. Sergeant Chuck Roberts under canopy now as he makes his way down towards that target area. Charlie and the Eagle setting up with the white smoke surrounding Chuck Roberts on the descent. As we go back in time to the golden age of armstrong with dedicated men and women through the United States and North America in an effort in aviation to make a living. You can see also the tremendous amount of directional control and speed control by that square ram air canopy of Sergeant Chuck Roberts. All the while now he'll be concentrating on that tiny little dot on the taxiway. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we'll ask you all to stand for our national anthem. Sight, Stardust 90 is open, and we have started. Sergeant Chuck Roberts now eyeing that target, the black and gold canopy of the U.S. Army Golden Knights, and underneath that, one of the greatest sights you'll ever see, the flag of the United States of America. Coming in from your right and low is Charlie Hiller to set up for the loop around Sergeant Chuck Roberts. He is followed by Gene Soucy, and they are followed by Tom Oberesny. The arms in the hands of Chuck Roberts as he makes his way. Sergeant Chuck Roberts now will be taking off his jump gear, the parachute, narrators, and coming up to announce for the remainder of the performance for the gold team of the U.S. Army Golden Knights. But in the meantime, tearing up the skies and doing the official job of opening the show with Sergeant Chuck Roberts are the Eagle Aerobatic team. In the lead it is Charlie Hiller. He is followed by Tom Oberesny, and they are followed by Gene Soucy. The airplanes that they are flying are the Eagle biplane, manufactured and made available by Frank Christensen of Afton, Wyoming. They are powered by the American Lycoming engine, 260 horsepower. Now, this is about as far away as you're going to see the team get. They set up for what we call the teaser maneuvers. Watch for Charlie to set up and say, okay, everybody follow me through this big barrel roll. So Charlie goes to the upside down position, following his smoke is Tom, and following his smoke is Gene Soucy. Charlie completes by rolling right back up to the right side of position. Tom is now right side. Will have you on the ground for the rest of your life. Looking on final approach, setting up for the snap roll is Tom Oberesny, but high coming in on final approach is Gene Soucy. He loves to snap roll. His middle initial is S. So there's one, there's two, there's number three. Hold it in there for number four snap roll on final approach, way high. Now he side splits, back comes the power, in comes the rudder, one side to the other. This is the maneuver that drives the tower operators nuts. They don't know whether he's going left or right. He bleeds off about 150 knots of speed, back on the stick with the throttle back, and touches down beautifully as always. Now, throughout the course of this weekend, these dedicated aerial entertainers and exhibition pilots who are the best in our business will appreciate your applause, but not be able to hear it because of their environment inside the cockpits until the engines are shut down. That would be one. The canopies are open. That would be two. And then the headgear that provides them with radio communication is off so they can hear your applause. Only when the props are stopped, only when the canopies are open, and only when the belts and gear are off will they be able to hear and appreciate your applause at that period of time. Throughout the spring, summer, and fall of our air show season, but throughout the course of the week, they are very intense and dedicated individuals, all holding down not just jobs, but very important positions with either their own companies or internationally recognized organizations. Now, as you can see, not only at the opening of the show, but all throughout not only the daylight hours, but the entertaining that we'll do for you under darkness, there'll be a tremendous amount of photo opportunities for you. As this opening was just one example. Sergeant Chuck Roberts with the Eagle Aerobatic Team now with the helmets on.
The cutaway parachute simply drifts earthward at the mercy of the wind. We recover this canopy, untangle all the knots, and prepare for the next demonstration. Just like the first two jumpers, our cutaway jumper is coming around on his final approach, facing into the wind. At an altitude of about 250 feet, he takes his concentration from the windsock and places it on that small black dot, only 4 inches in diameter. Let's watch and see how he does. Immediately upon exiting the aircraft, these jumpers snap into a rigid body position, resembling that much of an Olympic ski jumper. Their arms are at their side, legs straight, knees locked and toes pointed, locked into a position which enables them to gain as much lift as humanly possible. They are traveling across the sky at 180 miles per hour. At the point in which they execute 180-degree turns, they will be nearly 1 1/2 miles apart. Each jumper must look.
That's the jet. Stratosphere there. That's somebody that's not supposed to be here. Forgot the 10th, is that what happened?
The aircraft, the jumpmaster takes his heading in this direction. Since vocal commands cannot be heard in free fall, he must rely upon hand and arm signals for communication. The jumpers are now in a wide diamond formation, but at 8,000 feet, a thumbs up signal is given, signaling the left wing, right wing, and slot flyers to close in for the tight diamond formation. They are now flying no more than inches apart from one another. However, contact will never be made. Keep a close eye because straight to the 4 points of the compass, completing the beautiful bomb burst maneuver. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, your high-flying black and gold of your United States Army parachute team, the Golden Knights. Both left and right hands are attached to lines that go up to the left and right sides of the parachute. In order to decrease the 20-mile-per-hour forward speed, the jumper must pull down on the tail of that parachute, circulating the air underneath and bringing it straight down for a beautiful stand-up landing. Parachute jumps, Staff Sergeant Ed Rivera. Our free-fall photographer from Fullerton, California. ignition with 1,269 parachute jumps, Staff Sergeant Mark French. And leading the Golden Knights in free fall from Oxford, North Carolina, the team leader of the Global Demonstration Team for 1990. An airborne infantryman and veteran of Vietnam with over 3,000 parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class, 50th Army Parachute Team, the Golden Knights.
A little more aileron on that, you could have done a 360.
In keeping with a long-standing Golden Knight tradition, we would like to present the baton. The members of the Northwestern Regional Airport Commission have been in existence since 1972. They have all been introduced to the team leader, and in turn the team leader will introduce them to each individual member of the team. They are now receiving the baton, which was thrown in free fall during the first pass of today's demonstration. These gentlemen are responsible for the development and operation of Cherry Capital Airport. We like to acknowledge the people who donate their time coordinating their efforts to the running of the airport. The commission is made up of 6 members representing Grand Traverse and Lanao counties. The chairman, Robert Andrews, the vice chairman, John Stanek, Elizabeth Edwards, Stephen Becker, and Jasper Weiss. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to thank each and every one of you for being such a fine airborne audience. And in closing, leave you with this final thought. In the future, may all your days be prosperous and all your nights golden.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause, if you will, for the U.S. Army Golden Knights Gold Demonstration Team and the expert job of narration. And on the inside in the cockpit in the rear is Gene Soucy, who alternates as the left wing of the Eagle Aerobatic Team, this time taking time out for a solo in the classic Grumman biplane. Joining him on the airplane is the wing walker, Teresa Stokes. Now you can see Teresa's position between the wings on our side of the fuselage. Believe it or not, that is the position that she is going to hold for takeoff. In that position, she is without restraints whatsoever. No ropes, no wires, no cables, only her excellent grip on the aircraft. Now she will be moving around different points of the aircraft. Right after takeoff, she'll be transitioning from that area between the wings on our side of the fuselage and climbing up to maintain a position on the top of the top wing. And if you open up your program to page number 4, you'll get a great shot of something you're going to see in just a couple of moments. It will be Teresa Stokes in a very unusual position on the top of the top wing. Now you can see the rack up there. That will be very useful tool to Teresa. She will tie the performance. You'll see that Teresa is moving about without the use of any restraints on the top wing. The airplane is the Grumman. It is the Showcat. It has been developed by Gene Soucy, and it is going to be flying 3 times for us today. Once during this performance, will be fireworks. Gene will be cruising at an altitude of about 1,000 feet, and he will light off those fireworks so that fireworks to walk around the aircraft with very carefully, hand over hand, foot over foot. Also uses those same hands, very delicate touch of the brush against the canvas. Her works of art, by the way, are very well recognized. She is commissioned by aircraft production and standard type aircraft, as well as aircraft out of World War II. After she does that, she has been commended by the owners as having been able to put on canvas exactly the way they feel about Teresa from getting beat up. Now she's having a great time. If you're riding down and you extend your arm and hand outside the window of your car or truck, you know there's a tremendous amount of wind resistance at those speeds. you take into consideration that Teresa has that wind resistance factor in Michigan, and you know that in a very short time you can get chilled or very, very cold. It becomes very difficult just to maintain your grip on the aircraft. Most days are like this at air shows, but we have some days where there's some moisture in the air, and each time a raindrop or a piece of mist hits Teresa, it's like getting shot at relatively close range by a BB gun. Okay, the ropes are going upside down for Teresa. Gene pulls back on the stick, goes into the big insider barnstormer's loop. Entry speed of about 150 miles an hour. Skies that we like, where the smoke holds together. Immediately, Gene sets up with a 4-point hesitation roll. By the way, the mark that you're hearing out of that airplane is the Pratt & Whitney engine used by so many air show pilots. It's the model R985 that produces 450 horsepower. And the rasp that you hear, that large noise factor, is the prop disc right about in here that goes towards supersonic flight. This was an ex-crop duster. It has been highly modified under Gene's direction by Jim Swift. A lot of the stabilizing effects that it had as a crop duster have been taken out of it to allow it to do this, roll a lot faster than it normally would. Also, it has been lightened extensively by taking out the crop duster tanks, so the aircraft is operating about 2,000 pounds less than maximum gross capability. Or the environment where crop duster is utilizing it day after day. And because of the streamlining at the canopy section, at the nose area, the streamlining of the wings, and the addition of ailerons, and the reduction of the tail surface, this airplane now, in the tradition of the Grumman airplanes, with Teresa on the top plane. Now, many of you saw, as Teresa was prepping for the act, she comes in at about 5 feet tall. I dare say she weighs 99 pounds. She is not a big target on the top of the aircraft, but she does produce a certain amount of aerodynamic inefficiency, and for that reason, she must concentrate on being able to get a higher altitude, dive the airplane a little bit longer for the entry speeds to those maneuvers. That's the reason they break off and climb like this. Even though Teresa does not present a big target, it is the equivalent of having the drag of yet another aircraft that Gene must fly around in addition to this one without being able to utilize the second engine. Teresa Stokes Aviation Art has been operating since back in 1977 and consists of an original fine art aviation and space paintings in museums and private collections, and a growing number of limited edition collector's prints. By the way, they are distributed internationally at galleries, museum shops, and commissions throughout the entire world. Setting up once again across the top into the big insider barnstormer's loop, pulling back on the stick. Now looking for that smoke system once again as they hit the original that turbulent air. Teresa's knees have a tendency to buckle, so she must lock them. Gene sits up now straight up. Changing direction, straight back down, picking up the speed. 150. Now, to give you an idea of the talent of the pilot, Gene Susi, it is one thing to be able to fly an aircraft several different times, but when you change the types of aircraft that you're flying, you have different aircraft that have operates completely different from the left wing aircraft that Gene flies with the Eagles. So he must mentally change gears to compensate for the characteristics and the flight regime of this Grumman biplane. By the way, it was the great Major Al Williams. The Grumman Gulf is now made that airplane famous, and it was Gene Susi that revived the Grumman biplanes in the years of 50. Of the 12 or 13 teams that we have touring the world doing wing walking or wing riding, only about 9 teams are actively engaged different points of the airplane, free and clear of any restraints, and you're looking at least one of those 6 in the world. Those individuals who are not perhaps tied to the top of the aircraft. Now that takes a certain amount of bravery right there just to ride through those maneuvers. But once you release yourself from that rack and start doing the acrobatics on the top wing, and you start moving around from different points on the airplane, you have to know exactly what it is you're doing. The strength has to be there. It has to be well thought out, well planned. Now direct your attention on the top wing as Teresa will now start to set up for those acrobatic maneuvers. This is called the side saddle. As you can see, she has changed position. Gained attention coming into towns. In order to sell rides, they would put wing walkers out. Now, this next maneuver is called the Flying Lady. You can see once again that position has changed on the top wing. Just a couple of feet behind that turning propeller, a very intimidating effect out there. It is one thing to fly an open cockpit airplane where you are surrounded with metal, fabric, and steel up to an area just above your neck. It's a rather comfortable feeling. However, when you are on the outside of an aircraft, like Teresa on that top wing, it is a very lonely feeling being out there because you are not surrounded by airplane. You are standing out, or for you to be able to focus your camcorder in on the activity on the top wing. Everything looks right. Gene comes back in with that smoke system again. Look at this, believe it or not, feet and legs up towards the sky, Teresa's head down towards the ground. The headstand. How about a big round of applause for Gene Soucy and wing walker Teresa Stokes, and just one little act out of their bag of tricks, the headstand. Now you can imagine the work while the airplane is flying to be able to turn upside down in the proper manner without getting your feet and legs caught up in that prop area. But that's the rehearsal, and that's the expertise, and that's the same individual who does such a great job with the aviation art. That's Teresa Stokes. Her work is on display in many areas and galleries, not only in North America, but virtually around the world. She is...
Couple dents over. This is beautiful. Yeah, beautiful night tonight. Oh, they're taking the T-51 up to shoot them down too, right? So here, I'll back up. That's okay, no problem. Yeah, we're a little short of military aircraft here, I'm afraid. Yep. American ones. Yeah. See that one right there, A113? That would currently represent a 0. Gus here? Yeah, I saw him earlier. Yeah, I haven't seen him in a long time. Remember, he built a model of gunfighters, so. That's right. You know, building those up for the movie must have been something. Uh-huh. They even have a machine gun. Now when you see the movie again, then you can say, I saw the plane. Do you think more will be coming in tomorrow, Stan? I don't know. Trouble is, I got so many things to do tomorrow. This is not on the schedule.
Sorry about that.
Starting in the East Coast and going on through Los Angeles. They stopped at the Curtis plant to buy the P-40. They went out to Los Angeles and what is now Los Angeles International Airport. They stopped at the American Aviation plant and talked to Dutch Hildenberger about building 40 under subcontract. Dutch said, no, I won't do that, but I here's what I will do. I'll build you a fighter carrier. And the characteristics you want. Okay, we'll go with that. The stipulation is it must be the airplane on the Japanese Capes and the Z.
Dad, that's the first time we ever got to fly those.
Airspeed, and before you can say Charlie Hillard, Gene Susi, and Tom Poberesny, they are back in that V formation once again. And from the ground, it may look easy because we can look at the sky and see the 3 dots, but you never, ever want to lose sight of your wingman. That's the reason for rolling upside down and keeping the smoke on. Once you lose a wingman, it is very difficult, air to air, to be able to get sight of that wingman back again. Once again, back in V formation, Charlie dives the maneuver down, bringing the team in. They are both watching the part on his fuselage. Now, in honor of Stardust 90, the Eagles coming in. Give you a special gift, something that you would never ever forget and that you could take home with you and be part of Stardust 90. They are about to unwrap that gift for you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Charlie Hillard, Gene Susi, and Tom Poberesny, your gift, the heart of an eagle. If that was not enough to keep most people busy, Gene Susi throughout the course of the week is a flying the DC-9 for a major U.S. airline. Now, watch this. As they come into the first half of the loop, in line abreast or wingtip to wingtip, completing the second half, sliding back down in that V formation once again. Trusting Charlie Hillard to be the direction, speed, and altitude. They will not take their eyes off of that target spot and make all of their rudder, aileron, and throttle adjustments in relation to Charlie's fuselage. Also, they will be looking through that fuselage to maintain symmetry with the opposite wingman. So total trust in the leader. If you take your eyes off for 1 second, it could be disaster. You are in on the formation or you are into the space belonging to your teammate. Now the team will be setting up again. As you can see, Charlie has picked up extra altitude. He'll be looking forward. As the sun continues to go down to our right, pull back on the stick to a 2G pull-up, picking up a lot of altitude. And on the way across the top, after completing one half of the loop, Charlie will call for the brake. All 3 team members will pick a different part of the compass, and we have the down bombers. There's the call for the split and the brake. Tom Poberesny now is off to the right. Start to dissipate, and the altitude will increase. As they reach a speed of about 90 miles an hour, Charlie will call for the split. All 3 team members once again will pick a different spot on the compass. The bombers, for a maneuver we call the spread eagle. There's Charlie with a half roll, there's Gene with a quarter roll, there's Tom pulling straight back, and ladies and gentlemen, you have the spread eagle. So, Charlie moving off to our left, Tom moving off to our right, and Gene Susi once again at air show center. Now, teammates, saying to Charlie and Tom, whatever you do to the horizontal, I will do to the vertical. So here comes Gene Susi. It's T. It's Tom and Gene in the lead. Charlie's in the trail at Air Show Center. They call for the pull and the crossover. Setting up for maneuver, appropriately called the switchblade. Now as the team forms up once again, we'd like to take you back. We'll take you back in time. The year was 1972. Several times, towards the last days of competition, clearly we were losing. The Russians had accumulated more points. Are going to give Charlie center stage. This is what the judges saw back in 1972. Clearly, they had seen enough vertical roll before. But because of the technology, they had not seen what Charlie is going to do now. Literally back up the airplane while still rolling the airplane with the torque of the engine. Backwards, backwards, backwards. The international judges came up off the Charlie Hillard enough points to bring home the Olympic gold medal. The other 5 men of the team that was comprised of the wingmen, Tom and Gene, had enough points to bring home the team honors also. Ladies and gentlemen, the Eagle Aerobatic Team fighting for the honor of the United States of America in international aerobatic competition. 26. The Czechoslovakian pilots, also very, very tough, hard-working pilots, very competent pilots, and the Hungarian pilots, as well as, of course, the British, the French pilots, the Italians, the New Zealanders, many countries from around the world. That will be occurring throughout the month of July as our Olympic team gets ready to make their way over there now. As the team comes in from the right, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to reintroduce...
Everything I wish I could be. All night, I can fly higher than an eagle. You are the wind beneath my wings.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Eagles have landed. How about a big round of applause celebrating 20 years of exhibition flying? The Eagle Aerobatic Team 1990. Mr. Charlie Hillard, Mr. Gene Susi, and Mr. Tom Koberesny, the Eagles.
Dummies out there flying. Yeah, burn up all their fuel.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. On behalf of the Confederate Air Force and these fine folks putting together Stardust 91, welcome. We're delighted to have each and every one of you here with us this evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to take you back in time, a period just a little over 50 years ago, the day we're wanting to develop a prosperous nation, a supply of arms and goods for a developing Japanese economy. The date again is December the 7th, 1941. Golf outing with the commanding admiral of the United States Pacific Fleet, which was at Hawaii. Ladies and gentlemen, the time is 7:55 in the morning. The island of Oahu, laying alongside Ford Island, and 6 Japanese aircraft carriers have just launched 238 aircraft from the Imperial Japanese fleet.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hawaii has just been invaded by the Imperial Japanese fleet. 238 aircraft from the Akagi, the Kaga, the Hiryu, the Soryu, the Shokaku, and the Zuikaku have, without warning and without provocation, invaded American soil. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the provocation that was to bring America into World War II. As the lead ship comes in and drops its first bomb on Ford Island, many Americans are still trying to awake from a night's sleep. All over the island, ladies and gentlemen, American servicemen are very desperately trying to get to guns. They're trying to get their clothes on. They're trying to protect their bases. They're trying to get to their airplanes and not doing a very good job of it, because the invasion was totally without warning, totally without provocation, and totally unexpected. For over a year, Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto has been putting together a plan that would lay waste the entire Pacific Fleet. 8 battleships, 9 cruisers, and 77 other ships of the sea were laying alongside Ford Island as the Japanese invaded Pearl Harbor. The Mitsubishi A6M0s, the Ayaki D3A2 valves, the Nakajima B5N2 Kates, all of these aircraft, 238 of them, the sirens were going off, the bombs were going off. Close your eyes, think and listen. Imagine you were in Pearl Harbor 50 years ago as the Japanese invaded and drew America into a war for which it was neither prepared nor willing to become involved in. The Zeros, the fastest, the longest distance fighters in the Pacific theater at that time. The Japanese had been building them since about 1938. They had a range of over 2,000 miles. They were fast, they were maneuverable, they were light. And they were better than anything we had in the Pacific theater. Along with over half of its crew. Ladies and gentlemen, they live there even today. And the Nakajima B5N2 Kate coming in front of your eyes right now with a specially prepared low shallow running torpedo, which was used to devastate so many of the ships laying alongside Ford Island. As a result of this invasion, over 18 American ships of sea were sunk. 188 aircraft were destroyed, and 159 more lay damaged on the 6 air bases at Pearl Harbor on the island of Hawaii. Imagine yourself a young serviceman, a young sailor, or a young army guy. You're trying to protect your ship. You're trying to protect American soil. You're out there, you're scared. You're running scared. You're in the Ayaki D3A2 valve. Climbing Americans died as a result of this invasion of our island base at Pearl Harbor. The Japanese thought initially that this was a very successful invasion. In fact, as a result of the invasion, they only lost 29 aircraft. They lost 55 airmen and only 5. In fact, as a result of the invasion, Captain Matsuo Fushida, who was the commander of the 238 aircraft, called back to the ships, "Tora, Tora, Tora. We have completely surprised the American fleet at Pearl Harbor." Ladies and gentlemen, Tora, Tora, Tora means tiger, tiger, tiger. We hit American soil at Pearl Harbor. Today, our president remember what it was like in that period from 1939 to 1945. Warmongers? No, not in the least. That is the furthest thing from our mind. But what we do want to do is to remind each of you that America provides the freedoms which we enjoy today. We love America very much, ladies and gentlemen, And by flying this show, we hope that you will share with the young people in your family the greatness of this nation. With United States Air Force retired, Brigadier General Reg Ersler from Omaha, Nebraska, flying the P-51 owned by the Confederate Air Force called Gunfighter. Reg is above us high and out. The P-51, as Danny had mentioned earlier, was originally developed in 1940 for the British. It originally had the Allison B-1710 engine, and that, of course, was replaced by the Rolls-Royce Merlin Packard engine. And over 15,000 of these great aircraft were built, used, and flown during and indeed after World War II. You can see the aircraft high and out to the right of you. Reg Ersler taking the aircraft out, pulling the stick back into his lap now as he transfers speed into maneuverability and altitude of that great airplane. The P-51 Mustang, this one in the colors of the 8th Air Force, which flew in Europe during World War II. This aircraft called Gunfighter, and is the proudly owned by the Confederate Air Force, based in Harlingen, Texas. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, the pilots of the crew of the Confederate Air Force known as Tora. Our lead, Charles Hutchins. Number 2, Mac Orr, Gene Fisher, Doug Peoples, Ken Lear, Gary Hudson, Gordon Arnold, Stan Blaylock, Skip Rawson. All of these folks, colonels and members, if we may. As we said before, we are very proud of our great nation. That period from 1939 was a terrible period in our history, but a period in our history which we should remember because of what it stands for, because of the history that America has. We are the greatest nation in the world because of the people who are America. As we watch the Tora crew pass by, I would like for you to listen for just a moment to that great lady from that period from 39 through 45, Kate Smith, singing God Bless America. May she ever be our home sweet home. High overhead, the P-51 Mustang, Colonel Reg Ersler. God bless America. Ken Kreitz, how do you expect me to... Oh, Danny, is that gorgeous or what? You know, ladies and gentlemen, while I have just a minute, I'm sure that somebody told you who this fine gentleman is. We've had the opportunity to work with Danny Klisham more than just a couple of times, and it's always a real together and let Danny know how much you enjoy this fine announcer, Danny Klisham, ladies and gentlemen. A fine, fine air show professional. Thank you, Ken Kreitz. Okay, now once again, in comes Reg Ersler. He'll be setting up for the landing now. B-51, Cadillac of the sky. And you can have one of these aircraft. They are for sale. All you need is about $500,000. That would be the place to start. Operating costs would go to a lot of these fighters, transports, bombers, and trainers were chopped up.
during that time period, also very young men, their experience was so vast they would give them a desk job rather than risk losing their expertise in either training or administration.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big. Looking out the side, knowing right where it is.
There's a line down there.
By the way, Tora and their history and how they developed their depth divisions.
You always take pictures with your lens cap on?
By the way, when you come back to join us tomorrow night,
Put your hat over.
We'll show again tomorrow night, both under light and under darkness, that program is Shockwave. And very soon you are going to figure out why. Three jet engines. Why? This mass of jet engine and truck down come directly from a Boeing 727 passenger aircraft. The same anti-skid system that our Boeing pilots use day in and day out around the world for the 727 is also equipped on the Smoking Thunder. There's the raw flames out the top of the twin stacks. That is only one series of raw flames that you're going to see. In this brief performance, Les Shockley will be going through 120 gallons of fuel. Now the support vehicle is moving out of the way. There's left with just a little bit of action out the top, and there's the Shockwave out the rear. And light, the afterburner feature on the Shockwave. Like Shockley.
Kill the mosquitoes now.
Will be the winner, Tom Poberesny, with 260 horsepower, but will be reaching a speed of 200. Les Shockley, 0 speed with 36,000 horsepower. Tommy's coming in from the right. You can bet he is going to use that altitude to dive the airplane down. Right now, his left hand is inching forward on the throttle. The very dependable American-built Lycoming engine will be developing maximum power. Tom will slowly move the airplane down. The speedometer will start to pick up from 120 to 130, from 130 to 140 to 150, from 150 to 160 to 170, 180, 190. It'll top 200. He will try to push between 210 and 220 out of the airplane. Les Shockley will do everything he can to intimidate Tom Poberesny with the Shockwave, with the raw flames. And look, he threw out a bit of smoke. Tom's got his own smoke. He's coming in. Les sees him pass. There goes the brake release. Will he catch him tonight? It is going to be close. The closure rate is very tight. Les Shockley coming by and closing the gap on Tommy, but never catching Tom Poberesny.
You are never making your front go
Never catching Tom. Had a big head of steam. He was closing tight. If he had another 16th of a mile, he may have made it. Tom, them a big collective round of applause for a job well done. The full show, and of course, the mass exit the U.S. Army Golden Knights. Each and every weekend, getting better and better. What a great group of entertainers and the pride of the U.S. Army. Now, once again, we're working with the airliners, but we are just minutes away from more action. Fireworks as we near the 4th of July. And it will be Gene Soucy. Remember that he had the airplane that flew Teresa Stokes. It has been 4 night fireworks since that act has been completed. The U.S. Coast Guard C-130 Hercules of the U.S. Coast Guard being flown for the Golden Knights tonight by Lieutenant Ole Cavallo and Lieutenant Pete Sky, with flight engineer Steve Coaster.
trying to keep the light on, that's all. There we go.
Advantage of the Coast Guard's hospitality on their beautiful ramp behind our position here in the spectator area. There were Army helicopters on display over there. There were Navy trainers on display. There were Air Force trainers on display. There were Coast Guard rescue helicopters and Coast Guard rescue aircraft, all on display for your enjoyment. So the beautiful temperatures, nice breeze tonight, good photo taking opportunities, plenty of time to lounge around and enjoy all of the part of the evening we call the show before the show. At your walk, not mix with cigarettes, pipes, and tobacco. So please, in the interest of your safety, your friends, and your family, when you're around enjoying the aircraft, please absolutely no smoking. And if you're invited to take a tour through any of these aircraft of the temperature and also subside just before sunset. So that's the best time for ballooners to get a safe ascent, as the balloons are not. The effect that the wind has, it immediately blows them away from Air Show Center. Directly overhead, coming our direction,
in a full basket,
is the F-27. Above the ballooners, behind us, and ready to join up with the balloonists. Above the balloonists, that is, joining up with the F-27, are the Eagles aerobatic team. That's the tight formation that has been the hallmark of these three men for the last 20 years. The airplane markets the Pit Special line of aircraft. These aircraft being modified with a very large Lycoming 260 horsepower engine to give them the performance to do the very intricate aerobatic maneuver.
Is that one of the ones by our house?
Yeah.
One of the new ones.
Yep. Yeah, that and the cherry.
Yeah, well, yeah, and also there's another one too.
And Pepsi's got a wicked flame.
They're probably doing pretty good.
Okay, all eyes overhead now on the F-27. We are just seconds away from the hot run. Sergeant Chuck Roberts will be exiting the airplane. He will be... three pilots are going to set you up with just a few of the maneuvers that you're going to see during their full show later on today. Once again, this is only a small opener. As Charlie leads the team, he's correction, the big in-series barrel roll. All three airplanes rolling around the barrel past the upside-down position, back to right side up. It's Charlie, followed by Tom, followed by Gene. 1, 2 to the upside-down position, 3 back to knife edge right, and 4 back to right side up.
Maneuverability of the human body while flying through the air at speeds in excess of 120 miles per hour. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention directly over show center at an altitude of 10,000 feet. Our C-31 aircraft is inbound for the first pass of today's demonstration. The aircraft has been slowed to approximately 120 miles per hour or the same speed as a free-fall parachutist at terminal velocity. The jumpers are out, the smoke is on, and they approach the speeds of 120 miles per hour. Using their arms, legs, shoulders, and hands as flight controls, these jumpers will actually fly up to one another and exchange a 14-inch wind baton. Contact is made, the baton is exchanged, and they alter their body positions to create a colorful candy flow in the sky. At 2,500 feet, they separate, and once again, the high-flying black and gold of your United States Army parachute team, the Golden Knights.
Change the pace just a little bit. Look over to your left. You can see the beautiful red, orange, and yellow Grumman biplane. The only Grumman biplane being campaigned in the world today by an airshow pilot. And that pilot is Gene Soucy, taking a little breather from his job as left wing of the Eagle aerobatic team and changing airplanes, completely changing flight characteristics. And joining him on the wing is Teresa Stokes, the wing walker. Now we'll tell you tonight is an internationally known aviation and space artist who has been painting professionally since the age of 14. She is also an aerobatic pilot and lives on her houseboat, which doubles as a studio on Clear Lake, just south of the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. Now, Teresa is currently, believe this or not, building a one-of-a-kind Formula One race airplane. Teresa studied art at the Maryland Institute College of Art and at the Atlanta College of Art, and researched World War II aircraft in London, where she was elected associate member of the Guild of Aviation Artists. Teresa Stokes' aviation art has been operating since 1977 and consists of original fine art aviation and space paintings in museums and private collections. Also a growing number of series of limited edition collector prints distributed internationally in galleries and museum shops, and illustrations. U.S. Army Golden Knights jump airplane on the ground after having successfully made those multiple Alpha members land directly on that target. Tonight, with your coaching and cooperation, they'll be responding to the yells from your voices in your particular area and spreading themselves out up and down the flight line in that jump, and the flight line spreads, so it will be the loudest yells and whistles and screams and any noises you can make, as well as animation that will get you a U.S. Army Golden Knight touchdown in front of you or your section. So that's the fun we're going to be having later on tonight. As once again we change the pace, we'd like to once again remind you that our thanks to Channel 9 and 10 and the Amana giveaway. Mr. Al Rashi of 17th Street here in Traverse City, the winner, courtesy of Channel 9 and 10, of an Amana Central Air Conditioning Unit. And he won that unit for guessing the temperature at launch time this morning for our balloonist. So congratulations to Al Rashi. Thank you to Channel 9 and 10 for all of the tremendous support for Stardust 90. Now we'd like to remind you that just because the sun is going down, you can't leave, because we have our daytime show. Soucy is ready on the takeoff roll. It is Gene Soucy, away from his left wingman position of the Eagle aerobatic team, getting into an aircraft with completely different characteristics. And look at the figure out between the wings on our side of the fuselage. It is aviation artist, pilot, aircraft builder, and artist Teresa Stokes. Gene sets up for the barrel roll. You can see Teresa out on the right wing. Now that Although Teresa is not a big target, she is about 5 feet tall, weighs about 99 pounds at the most, but with her way out on the far side of the fuselage between the wings, that provides some aerodynamic inefficiency that with the force of gravity in the negative G environment, she would be separated or fall away from the aircraft if she was not strapped in. It would be the same concept. That is the reason that Gene Soucy, the pilot in the cockpit, is also strapped in, because in a negative G environment, the gravity forces would force him aim, and not at a comfortable speed of 65 miles an hour, but a speed like this, an entry speed of about 160 to 170. Back on the stick, into the big insider, Barnstormer's loop. All the way upside down, pulling back on the stick once again as Teresa looks for that slope. After completing the inside or Barnstormer's loop. Now, immediately after that, once again, the horizon goes upside down as Gene sets up for the slow roll series. Now, each time on the turnaround is the few seconds that Teresa gets a chance to rest. As Gene pulls back on these high G maneuvers, she will actually lock her knees so her legs won't buckle under the strain of the increased G load. It's the same G load that Gene Soucy has to contend with, and that the airplane was built for. Back to the right side up position once again. That acrobatic pose. Bending way back over the back part of that rack in a more horizontal position than standing upright. Okay, now look as the pose has changed. You can see Teresa with the white shirt on. Let's change position once again. Into the flying at 90 miles per hour. Holding that altitude right over the runway. And she has done it in that short turnaround. Both feet, both legs up towards the sky. The white of her blouse down low, the black from her tights up towards the sky. If you will, for Teresa Stokes.
The related victim today is a cadet from the Coast Guard Academy in New London, Connecticut. His name is Lloyd Cassis. This is his first day at the air station, and he's starting it out the best way he could think of. He's going to get hoisted up into the helicopter. And here comes Joe. He's being lowered down in a sling, about the fastest way to get him down to the victim. They're lowering him down just short of the victim. That keeps the winds from the helicopter from blowing the survivor around. The winds underneath the helicopter can get up to as much as 100 miles per hour, and that'll pretty much knock anybody over. Joe says he's okay. He's going to go over, assist the victim, stabilize them, make sure they're ready to get into the basket. The helicopters at Air Station Traverse City covered all of the Great Lakes from Duluth all the way down to Buffalo, New York. We can go for over 6 hours without refueling the helicopter. It makes us a great asset as a search and rescue platform. The helicopter is powered by two 1,500 horsepower engines. Joe has now signaled to the helicopter that he's ready for a basket pickup of the survivor. The helicopter is going to lower the basket down. So the victim can get in the basket. Pick up, so once they get the basket out of the doorway, they're going to send the hook back down and hoist Joe back up. This is the bicentennial year of the Coast Guard. We've got I hope you noticed the 200th anniversary flags. And here comes the hook. Joe's, of course, going to wait for it to drown himself so he doesn't get a shock. He'll hook himself up, signal the helicopter that he's ready. There he is capable of maneuvering in a hover. They can stay in one position, they can move left and right, backwards and forward, and do complete 360-degree circles staying on one spot. They're going to show us a little bit of that right now. There they go. And look down into the water to look for survivors. Now they're going to be doing a 360-degree circle, showing you the whole helicopter. Now do that just staying right in one position. See the crewman in the doorway? We normally carry 2 crewmen, 4 crewmen on a search and rescue case. We'll carry that extra rescue swimmer and the corpsman on a rescue case. They're going to come around and show us the ramp. The ramp can also be lowered to the ground and used to load cargo into the helicopter.
That will be taking place after the Eagles fly. The Eagles are down on the approach head, awaiting Tora Tora to depart. Very happy that our friends at True Value have brought you the entire Tora Tora gang both last night and again tonight. And if you saw it, we're happy you're back. If you didn't and only heard about it, you are in for a treat. Okay, thanks to American Eagle and Kathy Stearns, the first winner. That looks like Diane Eckholt. Diane Eckholt, we have a telephone number for you. Number is 1242 Chicago and return. Congratulations, Janet Thompson of Leland, Michigan. Janet Thompson never has or probably ever will. The Eagles are off the ground. The smoke is on. Charlie's in the lead. Gina's off on the far. Charlie goes with the nose up. And the snap roll on takeoff. Now as Charlie gets ready to watch for the roll right about in here as they go past the knife edge flight to the inside down, to knife edge and to the right side out. Now he holds it and 4. He completes it. Now watch for Tom and Charlie to be coming back in. They slow the speed up to about 120 as they cross their show center. Look out! As they set up for the formation snap roll. Gene, high on his perch now, coming in. Will pick up on Tom Pogoresny, flying off on our left. Watch for Gene to pull back on the stick, going to knife edge flight. He's keeping an eye on Tom's airplane off to his left. Right about in here, he'll do one more quarter of a roll upside down. He will join Tom Pogoresny, flying behind him. Charlie Hillard coming in from your right. Now remember, Gene Soucy has watched these men do the horizontal snap roll. He owes the team a vertical snap roll. He's coming in from your far left. Charlie and Tom will allow stage on the Eagles as they come back in once again. We will be looking to the airplane on our right that's actually flying the left wing. That's Tom Pogoresny. The aircraft on our left that's flying the right wing is Gene Soucy. Trailing the team is Charlie Hillard as they bear down on Air Show Center. Pretty soon they'll go into knife edge flight, right about in here, into knife edge flight. And watch for this. Look out for the Eagles. Switchblade, pull down. Charlie Hillard, country aerobatic pilots in the world, converged on that village outside of Paris, France, in the month of August to see who would be crowned the absolute women's world champion, the absolute men's world champion, the world's team champion of both the men and women division. During some very grueling competition, it was clearly the U.S. battling out with the Russian pilots, who were very, very good. On the last day of competition, we were losing. We were behind. But we had one more flight, and the flight was going to be handled by this man, the man in the middle, Charlie Hillard. As 2/3 of his teammates now give way to center stage, Charlie was to do this maneuver. Now the judges had certainly seen a vertical roll before, but back in 1972 they had not seen this. Charlie shifted into reverse, started backwards on his tail, still rolling the airplane. In a maneuver he calls the torque roll. The judges had never seen it. They came up off of their chair. The Olympic gold, 7 years old. Henry Haig and the U.S. team will be defending their championships this summer in Switzerland. They will be departing for Switzerland in late July. But as our team comes back in this year, we are celebrating the 20th anniversary of these 3 young men who will be happy to reintroduce to you at this time. Been together longer than any other team ever has or probably ever will. Ladies and gentlemen, from Fort Worth, Texas, Mr. Charlie From Oshkosh, Wisconsin, Tom Poberesny, and from McKinney, Texas, Mr. Gene Susi, the 1990 Eagles aerobatic team. All right, now the cake that the Eagles bake at every performance has been made. Let's see if they'll put some icing on top of that cake as they set up for the downwind. Straight and level right about in here. Always a little extra from the Eagles as they set up for the in-series double snap roll on final approach. Now, take what you have just heard and what you have just seen and listen to this. December the 7th, 1941.
It does feel good. It does feel good.
238 aircraft of the Imperial Japanese fleet, the Mitsubishi A6N20, the Akide 382 Bell, and the Nakajima B5N2 Kate have just invaded the American battle fleet laying alongside Ford Island on the island of Oahu in Hawaii. Ladies and gentlemen, America has just been pulled into World War II. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto has spent the last year planning for this invasion of American soil. From a few minutes before 8 o'clock in the morning until about 3 o'clock that very same afternoon, the Imperial Japanese fleet continued to bomb and pound and pursue each one of our bases at Pearl Harbor. For over 2.5 hours, this invasion of American soil continued. The Zeros, the Vals, and the Kates, and ladies and gentlemen, we are taking you there on this beautiful afternoon at Cherry Capital Airport. The Vals, the dive bombers, dropping the torpedoes onto the decks of the American battle fleet laying alongside Pearl Harbor's Ford Island. The Japanese Zero, having been in performance for only 2 years. Very fast, very agile, very high performance. Better than anything that we had in the American fleet. At that time, high overhead, the Japanese Val dive bombers. And coming in from the left, the Japanese Mitsubishi B5M2 Kate with a specially designed torpedo designed to run very shallow in those Pearl Harbor waters. It could not run more than about 15 feet. Ladies and gentlemen, this torpedo was being designed a year ahead of time. They knew they were going to invade American soil. Imagine yourself a young service person. You're 18, 19, 20 years of age. You've never been in battle before. And the bombs and the strafing and the torpedoes going off all around your ships. You're trying to protect your aircraft on the island bases. 2 young servicemen at a radar institute at north of Hawaii said to their commander, I believe there's a flight of aircraft coming in. Shouldn't we do something about it? He said, don't worry about it. It's just a flight of B-17s coming in from America. One of those B-17 pilots said to his co-pilot, what a hell of a way to enter a war. Out of fuel, unarmed, and unprepared. Ladies and gentlemen, 12 of those 17 aircraft perished at the hands of the Japanese that Sunday morning, December the 7th, 1941. Captain Matsuo Fushida, the flight leader of the attack on Pearl Harbor, called back as a result of that invasion, ladies and gentlemen, some 20 and 77 other American ships of the sea either went to the bottom of the bay or were so seriously damaged
that it took us literally 2 years to get those aircraft back into the air. We lost 188 aircraft and 150 torpedo and munitions bases at Pearl Harbor. And thirdly, Admiral Nagomo elected not to send the fleet back in for a third invasion, which they were scheduled to do. And one ceremoniously begun on December the 7th.
Forces of the Empire of Japan.
Our president went before Congress. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt went before Congress the very next morning. They were very unhappy about his procedure. Retired Lieutenant General Reg Ursler from Omaha, Nebraska. This aircraft, owned by the Confederate Air Force, one of our fleet of 145 aircraft. General Ursler putting the aircraft through the paces even as you see it above you right now. The aircraft was originally designed in 1940 and was put together in just a matter of under 200 days, from drawing board to fighting capability in less than 200 days. That says to you, ladies and gentlemen, exactly what America was able to do during that period of time when we put together the greatest air armada the world has ever known. We also built the greatest fighting ships that this world has known and has continued to do that very capable thing. The aircraft was originally powered by an Allison B-1710, but because of the capabilities and the higher capability and fuel that we wanted to be able to put on the aircraft, and because we wanted to start using it, we put the Rolls-Royce Merlin Packard engine of 1,200 horsepower, 12-cylinder engine in the nose of the aircraft. General Ursler, Colonel Ursler to us, Reggie's putting the aircraft into an old-fashioned barrel roll. Notice very high that the aircraft is rolling around the point as if it were coming around a barrel coming in towards Air Show Center here at Cherry Capital Airport. Very few of the P-51s are left flying today. About 40 years ago, you could have bought these surplus for about $1,500. Today, the aircraft is worth over $500,000, if you can even find one. And of course, the cost of warbirds is continuing to go up, partly because of their age and partly because of the value of the aircraft and what we're able to do with them on the air show circuit, putting on performances such as you've just seen here this evening. Colonel Reg bringing the aircraft in from the left, high speed. Listen to this sound of this beautiful 12-cylinder Merlin engine, ladies and gentlemen. It's a sound that you'll not hear for many more years. Listen to the sound of the P-51 Mustang. Ladies and gentlemen, as they come before you, I would like to introduce to you the members of Tora.
Refer to this as Stardust 90, and you're a part of it. What a beautiful evening, and listen to the sounds of General Reg Ursler in the P-51, the inverted wing waggle salute from the upside down position. 15,985 of these built starting in 1940. To our knowledge, on the FAA rolls, there is only about 100. And just like he would out of World War II, after covering a series of bombers or some aerial dogfights, is the Les Shockley. And this airplane here, the mighty P-51 from out of World War II, that had set world speed records at that time, and right up into the 1980s, as highly modified P-51 sought to assault the world piston-powered speed record. It will be Reg Ursler against Les Shockley and the Shockwave. So it will be a true battle between True Value, that sponsors Tora, and the P-51 and Eaton Road Ranger. You can make your bets and your guesses now as to whether it will be True Value, Reg Ursler and the P-51 winning over the Eaton Road Ranger sponsored Les Shockley Shockwave. By the way, if you have been lost or separated from... By the way, way, we just got word that there are some people that are wandering past our restraint lines. Those lines are very significant in terms of safety, mainly your safety, ladies and gentlemen. If anybody makes an excursion to the performer's side of that line, we are forced by FAA rules and by the rules of safety to stop the show. So those restraints are made for a specific reason. If you cooperate with us, we'd appreciate it. It is in the interest of your safety. And once again, if we break that 500-foot barrier, then we are forced by the rules and by safety to stop the show. So please, all the action is in the air. You can see all that you need to see in your position. You won't miss a thing. So help us with that, and we'll watch for your safety. Reg Ursler in the P-51, the gunfighter P-51 on the ground to your right. Getting into position on the taxiway with the support truck. Look low and to your left. It is the 3 jet engine powered Peterbilt truck called the Shockwave. Designed, built, owned, and driven by Les Shockley, coming to us all the way from Galena, Kansas. 3 General Electric jet engines with a thrust rating that converts to 36,000 horsepower. Now, we had set up the challenge race between the True Value P-51 and the Eaton Road Ranger Shockwave. Les Shockley and Reg Ursler will be battling with about 1,400 horsepower in the P-51 versus 36,000 horsepower in the truck. All eyes overhead now as we are getting...
He likes to try and talk almost here.
There it is.
Yeah. I see the smoke, but I don't see the eagle.
Well, I had a camel party at my house.
Right on the bowl, were you?
And she and Lorraine were there. We were talking about the deer and so on and so on.
As we are recovering the gold we have. From this position here in Traverse City, you can get to what we call...
Yeah, yeah.
No, they're using P-51 tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're going to kick
By the
some
way,
butt.
you were impressed with the color scheme on...
Airborne already.
Now, with Tom coming in from your right, is Reg Ursler in the True Value, sponsored Tora. Tom looking out to his left. Give him a wave as he taxis by. He'll be able to see your applause as the beautiful P-51. Brought to you by True Value. That's the slow roll on takeoff. Wave truck, able to beat the World War II P-51. Remember, here is the horsepower difference. Les Shockley in his Peterbilt truck, 3 engines, 36,000 horsepower. Reg Ursler, World War II, True Value, sponsored P-51 with 1,400 horsepower, but here is the handicap. Here is the advantage. Reg Ursler will be coming in with a start from the air, diving his airplane down to a speed that he believes will be a speed that will bring him past the start-finish line. Les Shockley, with a definite horsepower advantage, will be with the brakes locked, the afterburners lit up, as soon as he gets a signal from his signalman on the ground that the match has begun. He will release the brakes. All 3 engines will fire off. 36,000 horsepower will propel the truck in excess of 275 miles per hour. Now, they would let Charlie Hillard fly the truck or drive the truck, but he's all thumbs today. So being all thumbs, they're going to let Les Shockley fly the truck. And fly he will. From out of World War II, it is the True Value sponsored P-51 with retired General Reg Ursler at the controls. With a support truck low and to your left, the Shockwave, sponsored and brought to you by Eden Road Ranger this entire weekend. Our Eden Road Ranger display in the spectator area, and our thanks to all of the Eden representatives for allowing us to be able to see Les Shockley and the Shockwave this weekend. So it is Eden against True Value. True Value against Eden. What do you think? If you were here last night, you saw Tom Poporesny, Eagle number 2, race Les Shockley, coming in over his right shoulder at a speed in excess of 200 miles per hour, and clearly coming by the finish line in front of Les Shockley. But I have to tell you, it was close. Given another 16th of a mile, Les Shockley might have closed that distance and beat Tom Poporesny. But as it was, when they came by the announcer stand, Tom Poporesny with his Eagle had about 3 to 4 lengths of airplane length in front of Les, but Les was catching up fast. He only had about 4,000 feet of runway to shut down and to decelerate from 275 miles an hour down to turn the corner at about 20 miles per hour. Now the lights that you see on the side of the cab are raw flame coming up through the stacks. That is just a little sampling of some of the animation and noise that you will be seeing. Reg Ursler in the True Value sponsored P-51 setting up his strategy now. Each man will try to intimidate the other. Les will now start to light up the sky at the Cherry Capital Airport. Raw fuel up towards the top and raw fuel coming out the 3 jet engines in the back. Very soon you will know why Les Shockley named this truck the Shockwave. Anti-skid braking system on the airplane. The only way that he can get it to slow down after reaching speeds in excess of 270 miles per hour. Now I asked Les a dumb question when we first met. I said, Les, why do you have 3 engines on the truck? He kind of looked at me and said, well, it's rather simple, Danny. We had 1 jet engine. We were able to go in the quarter mile over 100 miles per hour. I put the second one on. We went over 200. It only made sense that if I ever wanted to get close to 300 miles per hour, I would have to put the 3rd jet engine on. Remember, intimidation may be the name of this game. Each pilot has his own way that he is going to intimidate the other. There's the lights of the True Value P-51. We'll watch for the light off. In comes Reg Ursler. Off and to the right of the Shockwave. Les Shockley closing in. Reg Ursler moving the throttle up. It's going to be close. Whoa, Les Shockley. Well, what do you think? Les Shockley shutting it down. The drag chutes come out to slow the airplane, the truck down, that is. What a race.
Y'all get out of here. That airplane is racing the truck.
By the way, that airplane has a very rich history. It was designed before the U.S. got into the war. It was back in 1940 when the British Purchasing Agency were touring the U.S. trying to get the U.S. aircraft manufacturers to build them fighters. They had started on the East Coast, and they had talked to the people at the Curtiss factory who made the Curtiss P-40. about 50 seconds away from lighting off the night fire. call him Gino. His middle initial is S for snap roll, and his last name is Susie. What do you think about Gino? I thought so. We wish to thank you for all of your support. They did raise some great money for that educational endeavor. And if you have your ticket stubs, while Gene is taxiing in, we'll ask you to get them out now. They are yellow if you have signed up for more than one. If you have the number 22 and your initials are DM and your last name is Evans, congratulations, you are a winner of one of the rides along with two of your friends in the beautiful Cessna 172. The other winning number is number 04. 04, Teresa Crow is also a winner. And the last winner in the drawing is number 69, Don Izzat, I-Z-A-T-T. Congratulations to number 22, number 69, and number 04. You are the winners. Your telephone numbers are a matter of record for the college, and if you don't contact the college tonight at the booth where you signed up, they have your phone numbers, and they will call you at home and allow you to set up for a time up to and including August 31st to set up for a ride in the 172 Cutlass with you and two of your friends for that great scenic flight. Once again, our thanks to Northwestern Michigan College and the Intercollegiate Precision Flying Team for the pyro. He's got the engine shut down. He is going to take a rest now. He's coming out of the cockpit under the spotlight. Sissy! Way to go, Gino! Lighting up the sky over the Cherry Capital Airport. Now, ladies and gentlemen, hold your position as things will... Ladies and gentlemen, what did you think of this afternoon and evening?